jump in the back of the pickup truck and join us for a ride back to the good old days.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A nostalgic podcast based on entertainment and memories from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Come with us and revisit the best time ever. So jump on your BMX bike, pop a heavy metal tape into your Walkman, and hang on tight while you go back to the past with us.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hello, listeners, fellow KISS fans. Welcome to another episode of Preachers of the Night, our little sidecast we do, which is at the moment part of our main cast, Pastimes at 80s High. Not sure if we're going to separate it or just keep it how it is as a little sidecast, but we got another great list for you today, and I have my brother Mark here with me. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty well tonight, man. Doing really good.
Awesome. I think this is going to be a fun one. I was questioning it at first, and then all of a sudden, man, it was a hell of a lot harder than I thought. But one thing I'll say about it is this is my list today because yesterday it was different. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we are going to do the 20 Ace Frehley and Peter Criss songs from the studio albums. However, I did include side 4 from Alive 2 so that I could make it an even 10 and 10 for Peter and Ace. So we're going to rank those in the order that our favorites.
Can I say something?
Of course. Go ahead.
Yes. Also, what you forgot to say is that this is not songs that they wrote. It is songs that they sang lead vocals.
Correct. This is correct. So, anyway, before we get to the list, though, brother, I would like to share our idea we had because I think it's great. One thing Mark and I were discussing, and I think it could be a lot of fun. Anyone that is listening yet, I know we're quite new, so I don't know how many of you are out there, but it's nice to see quite a few downloads happening. And thank you all very, very much. But what we were thinking is, when we listen to podcasts, especially KISS fans like us, man, it's hard sometimes. You're yelling at the speakers and you're just so excited to participate. So what we were thinking might be a great idea, and we haven't worked it in just yet exactly how we're going to do it, but what we're thinking is maybe, one listener per show, or at least when we do a ranking show, that we'd pick someone to either, it would either be a call in, it wouldn't be for the whole show. At least we're not thinking that yet, although we may do that at some point with people. But what we're thinking is maybe a call in at the end or a quick Zoom connection at the end, to let, one of you participate every week to speak your mind, argue with us, whatever the fuck you want to do, because I know I'm going to get shot down on my list by a lot of you. But anyway, I just thought that would be a lot of fun. So, keep on listening and we will share what we're going to do about that. But anyway, thank you so much. So I guess, Mark, we'll get started here, but I cannot remember who did the last one first.
You need to go first. I'm pretty sure I did last time.
All right. Perfect. So here we go. I'm going to start with number 20, and that would be 1998 off of Psycho Circus, Peter's song that actually Paul and Bob Ezrin wrote. I Finally Found My Way. This song to me is absolutely painful to listen to. I hate everything about it. I won't go too into detail where we're only, we have so many songs rather. I just find it pure shit. And that is my opinion on it. One thing I found funny, with Ezrin being involved, like, I don't know if they were trying to write another Beth. One thing my favorite cast said, which is Shouted Out Loud cast, I remember hearing them talk about it and say how they wondered if they purposely wrote a shitty song for Peter. But but at the same time, exactly. And at the same time, though, Paul, kicks in to, I don't know, it's not the chorus, but he kicks in at the, towards the middle.
Bridge. It's a bridge.
Thank you. The bridge, with his vocal. So it was almost like he's like, man, if this does take off, I need to make sure I'm part of it. Typical Paul, in my opinion, which is why I thought of that. But I will send it over to you, my brother.
Okay, thank you, AJ. After the number 20 song, I'm going to tell you there is not a song I hate on the list at all.
I agree.
I could listen to any one of them and enjoy them. But my number 20 song is called I Finally Found My Way, written by Paul Stanley and Bob Ezrin. You said pretty much everything about it. Peter Criss in his book really doesn't like that song either. He's like, who am I finding my way back to? God,
right?
Elvis, some random, he didn't like it. And he felt pressured. He felt like Paul was standing there watching him the entire recording of his vocals.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 20. And that's the only song I find generally unlistenable.
All right. 19. And Mark said it perfectly. I love the rest of this list. So this is just the order I chose today. My number 19 is Into the Void. Again, 1998, written by Ace and, was it Carl Cochran, I think?
Yes.
To me, it just kind of like you said about the last song, to me, it sounded forced. And I also hated the fact how it was so stereotypical, Into the Void, just another space thing. And, I really fucking hated that. So let's just go to your 19, Mark.
Okay, this is kind of a fun song, actually. It's called Torpedo Girl from Unmasked, written by Ace and Vinnie Poncia.
Yep.
It's kind of funky. It's about somebody swimming in the bay and all that. And I just remember, though, one of the things that bothered me, I was up in Littleton on one of our many visits after we moved to hell. And he, I don't know who it was, one of the older kids says, why are you playing that disco? And it's like, oh, dear, even this is disco to these people?
Right.
But, it's a decent song, just not my favorite, but I would listen to it again.
Absolutely. Okay. So 18 to me. My 18 is same album, and that's Two Sides of the Coin off Unmasked, 1980.
I knew that was going to be up there.
Yeah. So
or down there.
right. And it's funny, I know, because I write mine backwards, so I read from the top, so I don't mess up anymore.
That's what I do too. That's what I do.
Anyway, so yeah, it just it's a fun song. It is, and it's just, I won't say another, as it's the first one where I will say cheap Ace lyrics. He is famous for that. God love him. Incredible influence to so many guitar players, does incredible solos. I love his work. His lyrical, writing has something to be said about, and I'll leave it at that. And 18 to you, Mark.
Okay, this is a song from Love Gun, written by Peter Criss and Stan Pendridge. It's called Hooligan. They played this a lot in concert. Obviously in the Love Gun tour and probably the Dynasty tour. A great song. I mean, he drives a 45 Chevy on a 55 frame. Can't even spell his name. Drop out of school when I was 22.
Great.
And Peter Criss has. This needs to be said about Peter Criss. His voice, I fucking love his raspy voice.
Absolutely,
he has an incredible
man.
voice.
Friggin' right.
And they should have utilized it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. I mean, they did it in the early days. As we work down our list, you'll see that in the early records they utilized it a lot more.
Right.
And yeah, Hooligan, number 18 for me.
Yes. All right. 17 to me. Once again, Unmasked, 1980, written by Ace Frehley. And that would be Talk to Me. Fun solo, more great, deep lyrics. But with that being said, like Mark said already, and I've said over and over, I fucking love the song. You know, it's a great song. But that's it. That's all I'll say about it. And to you, brother.
Well, this is a repeat again. I have Into the Void from Psycho Circus. Again, a 4th song. They probably says, write something, Ace. Write something, Ace. Interestingly enough, they did a song that was not that did not make the album, called In Your Face, which I think was a better song than this one.
Right.
But they did play it throughout the Psycho Circus tour, and it's okay. It's so stereotypical.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I used. You're right.
So
okay.
So that's my 17th, man.
All right. So we are kind of close here, Mark, although we're different for the most part, but our bottom is hanging tight. And I will always say this, as you all know out there, we are brothers. So, all right. So
we had the same mother.
my
father.
16 is Hooligan. All right.
Yeah.
77. Mark already talked about it in depth, but his voice, like Mark says, you know, that raspy Peter voice is just friggin' amazing. Very, Rod Stewart raspy. And you are right, where I wish he sang a lot more. His voice, the harmonies and the chorus are great. And there's a lot of Ace in this song, not just the solo, but just little, twinges that he plays throughout. And it's a great song. It's just low because I like the rest of my list better. So to you.
That's exactly right. All right. My number 16 is Two Sides of the Coin, which is kind of funny. It's a little sad because I'm not happy. I'm just kind of glad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are incredible lyrics. Incredible lyrics. However, back in the day, it was actually heavy to me in some ways, because it was almost like you can pick two sides of the coin. One's going to send you to heaven. One's going to send you to hell.
All right.
And I don't know if Ace was deep enough to come up with that, but at that point in my life, that's where my mind was. And wow.
Right.
Such a heavy feeling about such a light song.
Right. It is heavy. And it's funny because that's the lyric that always comes to my mind first. All right. So 15 to me, and you've already talked about it a little, and that's Torpedo Girl. But I thought this song, I listened to all of these again and again, over the past couple days. And I thought this song was going to be before the others that I picked off of Unmasked. And behold, it's not, because it's such a fun riff and bass line.
It's bass line that I was talking about earlier.
Yes, it just has such an amazing groove to it, and I like it. As stupid as Battle Station Torpedo, Battle Station Torpedo, but it's just fucking fun when that bass line kicks in. And so anyway, all right, Mark.
Okay, my number 15 is a song, the only song that he played drums or sang on Dynasty. And it was written by Peter Criss, Vinnie Poncia, and Stan Pendridge. It's basically his I Got to Get Away from This Stuff, even though Paul and Gene say he was fired, which I still believe he was. But it's actually a really cool song. He can't stand any longer. He's got to get away, that kind of thing. And just a great riff. It does reek of a lot of disco, unfortunately.
It sure does.
You could certainly do a lot of jumping jacks to it. But it's actually kind of a fun song.
Right. Awesome. It is. It certainly is. And I'll get to it eventually here. But my number 14 is written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Not in 1979, but prior, although that's when it came out on Dynasty. And believe it or not, I actually like Ace's version better. I found that very, very strange. You know what I mean? It just the original, I'm saying, by the Stones.
It was psychedelic almost, you know?
Yeah, it was. It was very trippy, if you will.
Yeah.
But
yep.
So if it wasn't a cover, I don't know that I'd have it so low, but I do. So to you.
Okay. Number 14 is from a unfortunate record in a lot of ways, but I liked it. It's from music from The Elder. It was called Don't Run before Lou Reed and, Anton Fig they co-wrote it with him and they forced him to change the words to fit the record.
Mm-hmm.
It's Dark Light. The reason I really love the song is his absolutely mind-blowing blistering solo.
Blistering. That was my word I was going to use. Damn it.
Well, son of a bitch. Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. This solo there was no rhythm in the background. He just freaking took off. It's like, this is what you're going to miss when I leave the band after I go out and do Creatures with you only on a couple promotional tours.
Right.
And, it originally went, don't run, gotta take a stand, don't run,
right.
Good things are at hand.
All right. Yes, we might have to edit out Mark singing there, but we'll see.
What are you talking about?
I'm just fucking with you. I'm fucking with you. But no,
all right.
Awesome. Okay, so 13 to me then, and 1976, that will be Baby Driver. Once again, I can't emphasize this enough, but it's just not my favorite song today, but I love it. And once again, it's Peter and Stan Pendridge, and I forgot before I went through this list how many songs that Stan Pendridge was part of with Peter. Like, it was really amazing, but great song, lots of guitar by Ace in it again, and and I'm sure that I'll be called out on something here because I never know if it's Paul or Ace sometimes. But
what, with guitar solos?
With the guitar, not just the solos, but in the background. But anyway, there's my number 13.
13 to me. I have Mainline from Hotter Than Hell, written by Paul Stanley, obviously singing by Peter Criss. And one thing, back in their early days, particularly this record and Dressed to Kill, and yes, even the debut record, they had a lot of blues type influence in them. Yes. And it was a lot of fun. And Peter's vocal is incredible on this. I love Ace's guitar playing. Paul wrote a good song. It's fun. It's a fun tune.
Mm-hmm. All right. So my number 12 is Getaway off Dressed to Kill. 1975, written by Ace and Peter. Once again, some awesome vocal harmonies in this song. And you got Peter with his great voice kind of going off towards the end. And it's, I think, an amazing, amazing guitar solo. Once again, great song. So do you, Mark?
It pained me to have this song. I mean, number 12 isn't a terrible thing. And again, as we've talked about these songs, I have Strange Ways, a very strange song, no pun intended.
Right.
And Peter Criss sings it. Ace wrote it. They wouldn't, no, they wanted him to sing. And he didn't have any confidence at that point still. Right. But it's such a strange guitar solo. And, they never, I think they played it early on in one of the Hotter Than Hell tours. But other than that, Ace has been playing it in his solo tours. So, but
awesome. All right. So to me for 11, and you've already talked about it yet again, which is going to be the course of this list, obviously. So I guess I'll stop saying that now. But it's off of Dynasty 1979. It's Dirty Livin'. Once again, we've already said the writers just more Stan Pendridge with Peter. Crazy. But I love the groove of this album. I mean, I'm sorry, of this song. Just, it is very disco, but it just has a cool fucking groove to it. And I love it, man.
Makes you want to dance your legs off, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. But, sorry, yeah. But there's something I wanted to say about Dirty Livin' because, and not to correct you, Mark, because I didn't really remember it either. But oddly, they did credit Peter for drumming on this song and I Was Made along with Anton Fig. So I was really,
that is strange.
God knows if that's the truth. That was off of Apple Music today. I mean, I always research things differently, sometimes Wikipedia but yeah, so Dirty Livin' and maybe a bit of I Was Made he drummed on, but all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it
who
surprised me too. So number 11 to you, Mark.
Okay, this song is from Unmasked. It was not a big hit in the United States, but oh my God, do they love it in Australia. It's a song about him going out with a girl that's probably might have been around or whatever, or they just talk and everything. And he just wants to talk to the girl, obviously. Talk to me.
That's all.
It's pop. It's pop. It's pop. That whole record was pretty much pop.
Oh, I love it.
But it's kind of catchy.
Yep.
So
do you want to say the name of the song?
Talk to Me.
Obviously.
Sorry,
that's okay.
people.
But that's becoming a thing where we're forgetting the title.
Not forgetting the title, we're just forgetting to say the title.
Mos Eisley. All right. Another thing, when you folks out there hear any of us say Mos Eisley, like Mos Eisley Spaceport in Star Wars, that means precisely. Just so you don't think we're crazy.
Okay, well that's news to me.
Right? Yeah,
being the
exactly.
one guy of our cast that is not a big Star Wars fan.
Right.
So
all right. So my number 10 is Dark Light, 1981. Yeah, Ace, Gene, Anton, and Lou Reed, which you already talked about, and you already took my thunder away from it. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, but that solo, the word you used was blistering, and it sure as hell was. I think it's one of his fastest solos he ever performed. So that's all I'll say.
okay, well I picked Beth. It's just a song that, I mean, it's so iconic. The story behind it is, I believe Detroit Rock City was on the main side of the 45.
Sure was.
People were flipping it and playing Beth
On the radio stations, yeah.
Yes, and it just had such a mainstream effect. It just crossed a lot of genres. And, it's been, when Peter was in the band anyway, they always did it during the encore. And, I think it was much bigger back in the 70s. Probably a lot of the girls like to hear it anyway.
Right.
But,
Yep.
just a great song. And obviously they tried to replicate that with I Finally Found My Way. Just didn't quite cut it. Now did it.
So I'm just going to butt in and continue to my number 9 because it's also Beth. 1976. And yet again, although Ezrin was with Peter writing it, once again, it was Stan Pendridge. Just amazing. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much said everything about it, but I love the song.
Oh, it's a great song.
As, what it meant to the band and how huge it took off. Good.
All right. So number 9 is Save Your Love, the last song on Dynasty. It's a familiar chord progression. He has used it on Cold Gin, Save Your Love, another song we'll be getting to, and Love Him, Leave Him, actually.
Wow.
But anyway, he was the only one really, or okay, maybe side 2 of that record, but he stayed true to the band's original
sound
mission.
Yeah, exactly.
Sound and mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought Ace shined on that record. I really do. The lyrics weren't killer or anything like that. Just hard rock and stuff. And it was really refreshing change from the stuff we heard in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was a little off-putting to classic Kiss fans. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
We were just happy that, you know, that was an original record that came out, and they were still in the band, or at least we thought they were all still in the band.
Right.
Peter notwithstanding, other than the one song or one and a half.
Right.
So that's my number 9.
All right. So number 8 to me is Mainline, 1974. Like Mark said, written by Paul. And once again, I love the song. I mean, I love the rawness of it. Like everyone has talked about and Mark mentioned, it wasn't my favorite record. A lot to do with the tinny, you know, production of it. But Ace's solo in it, still amazing. And just the rawness of it and Peter's voice, just fucking great.
All right. So number 8 to me, I have 2000 Man. Obviously, you know, Jagger and Richards. They played this on their Unplugged when they came out. I don't think anyone expected this now, did they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole reunion tour.
Yes.
Well, not the reunion tour. Somebody shouted reunion tour, and
Right.
you know,
We
so
all
they
knew it
played
was
that
going to
after they
happen
did-
after that.
Oh yeah, especially after they did that Grammy show, whatever it was, with Tupac. God rest his soul.
Right.
A couple months later, but
Yep.
it's a lot better than the original version, like you said.
Right. Awesome.
It's pretty rocking. All right.
Right. Before I go to my number 7, I just wanted to go back a couple steps here, because something I forgot to say when we were talking about Beth was, and now everyone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm about to call Ace stupid, and maybe I'm fucking stupid, but Beth did win a People's Choice Award, I think.
That's exactly what it was.
It was not a Grammy, Ace, which Ace still thinks he has a Grammy on his mantle, I think.
No, it was, you know who announced it? It was Goldie Hawn. Remember?
Yeah. So it was a
Congratulations, Beth.
Yeah. All right. So my number 7 is Save Your Love, 79. And this is in my notes. I won't go too crazy on it because I already talked about Anton and Peter's drumming on the album, but I love this song. It's one of my favorites on the album. And the chorus and the harmonies, and then I love how there's Ace is singing the chorus over the harmonies in the background, and you can really hear Paul in that, which I love. But then there is a voice in there that's questionable, and Vinnie Poncia does several backup vocals on this album. So I think that's the voice we're hearing. And I will hand it over to you, brother.
Okay, so we're at number 7. So I have Baby Driver. I love that song. Brother David made me a tape of a lot of the Kiss stuff. This is back when we were, you know, pretty much sure that the reunion tour was going to happen, and all the original stuff from, you know, through Love Gun. And I just loved Ace's solos on all these songs.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun are two of my favorite records. My favorite producer by far is Eddie Kramer. No offense to Bob Ezrin. I think he put a little too much pressure on them. You know, I love his production on his records.
Yeah.
And I love Peter's vocal, and it's just classic Kiss. This is classic Kiss. This is like the straightforward stuff that they always claimed they were going to start playing again, and once in a while they did.
Right.
So Baby Driver, number 7.
All right. My number 6, once again, 1979, and it's Hard Times. Kind of an Ace autobiography. I mean, not really, but just talking about growing up in the city, and I just loved it. I just thought it was fucking cool. You know, I mean, I was 9 years old when this came out, and I loved this song. I mean, just like I love most of this list. So that's all I'll say about it.
Okay, well, number 6 is Hard Times for me as well. It was just fucking bone crushing.
Yeah.
And there was a line in the song that reminded me of the Apthorpe Gang. For those who don't know, I lived in Littleton, New Hampshire, but this is after we moved and trips back there.
Mhm.
And we would go to the park and space our heads out. We called it fun. I don't know if there was some doubt, but I mean, we would go up there and just talk and chew skull. That's all we would do, other than the gang wars we had up there with Whitefield and
With
maybe
the
Bethlehem.
pipes and the nunchucks.
Yes. Oh no, it was rough living, man. And but that's what it reminded me of. I mean, of course, he's talking about the Bronx, and we're talking about Littleton, New Hampshire.
Northern New
What's the
Hampshire, well, central, whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, he was from New York. So yeah,
Awesome.
so I would say that it's the same thing.
Yeah, very much so. All right.
Yep.
So 5 to me then, and that will be Shock Me. I mean, it's kind of an ongoing joke where Ace like started singing it like a question, during the reunion and later.
Yeah,
But
shock me.
but
That you mean? Is that what you're saying?
no, it was more like Shock Me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shock
But anyway, everyone knows the story of it. Just, it was his first vocal. He finally gained the courage, and it's an iconic song. The riff's great. The solo's iconic. And everyone knows the story that he actually, coming down the stairs, got jolted by however many thousands and thousands of volts and knocked him out for a bit. He came out and finished the show, then wrote the song for Love Gun. All right. So number 5 to you, brother.
All right. Well, this song is called Get Away from Dress to Kill, and forgive me for getting emotional on here. We've talked about my last jam session that I've ever had, really, other than a couple here. It was with my brother David and our friend Xander, and that's the one where he had something in his eye. And, well, I got a call in that July that he said something, there was a growth behind his eye. And
Ocular melanoma.
And we thought it was eye cancer, which was bad enough. But we were hoping, they thought it was isolated. And we went, he was playing with a band. What was the name of the band again, AJ? I'm sorry.
Kiss tribute band out of Massachusetts called Dr. Strangeways. And that gig was in Chicopee, Massachusetts, because obviously I'll never forget it as long as I live.
So here's the deal. He's supposed to get a call on that Friday night. And he didn't get that call. So we're down there in Chicopee. And I have to tell you people, I have never, ever seen my brother play that fucking awesome in my friggin' life. And then when he played Getaway up there on the drums and sang it, it was so fucking ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a call on Monday morning. I'll never forget the call. AJ calls and tells me I don't have good news and that it spread everywhere. And within, 15 months, we lost him. So this song is incredibly emotional to me. And I just cannot believe I had such a bad feeling that whole freaking night.
Yeah.
Something wasn't right. And it was so sad.
One thing that I will say, but anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we found out that Monday that he had stage 4 lung cancer. And like Mark said, it was, just over a year after that, 15 months or so, when we lost him. Sorry. Oh, fuck. All right. So I'm going to try to move along here. We are at my number 4, yes?
That's right.
And that would be Hard Luck Woman, 1976. A song that I think should have been far bigger than it was. And, you know, maybe just to get a little humor in here after that, you know, sad spell. I can't fucking believe that Paul wrote this song and let Peter sing it after Beth came out because, you know, him being so friggin' insecure, I just would have thought that he would have been too afraid that Peter might have another hit with it. But anyway, I love this song. I think that it should have been way bigger. I don't know how it wasn't because it is exceptional. And that I will leave to you, Mark.
Well, I have the same song, AJ.
Oh,
It's
nice.
written by Paul, like you said. I think he offered it to Rod Stewart, according to his book.
Ah,
And Peter Criss is like, no, don't do that. Let me sing it. I was listening to WAAF with Greg Hill, who now is on EEI, but and they played this song, and I was choked up. I mean, my life was going incredible at the time anyway, but hearing that song, just like they're back. We're actually going to see them in concert again,
right? Yeah, that
You
was
know?
huge. Awesome.
So, but yeah, just what a great vocal for Peter on that. The 12-string guitars. It's a great video they have.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah, that whole video, you know, the 3 are one of the greatest ever, you know?
oh yeah, they did Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, and I Want You. But
Yep.
also Garth Brooks did that song on the Kiss tribute album there.
Yeah. Actually, Shout It Out Loudcast just did that review last week for that album.
Oh, they
Yeah.
no shit.
Number 3 to me will be Rocket Ride, 1977. Like I said, we put it in so that we could make it an even 10 and 10. 1977 off side 4, Alive 2. This was Ace and Sean Delaney. And not only do I love this song, but this is one, you know, obviously I'm a big Kiss fan, but this is one of the songs that I remember hearing when it came out, you know, and it really hit me. So, I don't know, being a kid taking a rocket ride, I was not thinking it, you know, I wasn't reading into the double entendre what it probably meant, but just a great fucking Ace song. Still does it to this day when he plays live, whether he can play it or not anymore, but a great song. All right, Mark.
All right, this is shocked me, the first song that he actually sang lead vocals to. A major staple in the concerts. He obviously did his solo and does really kind of to this day, you know, the smoking guitars and all that, and
Mm,
just a great song, just very heavy
yeah.
for the era, and just, you know, you talked about it a lot, and that's my number 3, My Brother.
Okay. Well, my number 2 here, I actually was surprised you had it this low, but hey, that's why we are who we are, right, man? My
Yep.
number 2 is Strange Ways, 1974, written by Ace,
wow.
as Mark said.
Awesome.
And it's just so heavy. And the riff is amazing. It's just, but like you already talked about, just such a badass. The only words I could come up with were sloppy, dirty solo.
Exactly.
You know, it's just, it's awesome. And something when you said that about the solo being weird, there was actually a rumor that he did the solo and then they spun it backwards. But
I do remember that.
I don't
yeah.
think there's any truth to it. I mean, I really don't know the final answer on that, but Oh, I fucking love it. It is. It's just raw and dirty. And more importantly to me, and I will not get emotional right now, but same thing. Our brother David did that at that gig, and he had several more after that. Because he played with them for, I don't know, maybe 6 months more, and did Strange Ways as well with the vocal. So hopefully I can find some clips and include them when we launch this episode. So number 2 to you, Mike.
Okay, this is Rocket Ride, and I absolutely love this song. And, you know, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, the double meanings and double entendre or whatever. This song is about him going up in a rocket, right?
Naturally.
He doesn't have, nobody jumps on his rocket, right? He wouldn't do that, would he? Come on, he's my hero. He's clean as a whistle.
Right.
No, it's just I think, you know, in his book, I think he was kind of coked out at this point. And just the riff, I love this riff. It's just
the vocal, but the lead vocal is of course Peter. It's just a kiss-ass I'm sorry, kiss-ass, no
song?
pun intended.
So.
It's
No,
a kick-ass
nothing
song
like
and a staple, you know, and since pretty much day one, it's pretty much been, you know, I wouldn't say encore, I would say pre-encore, where, you know, they say goodnight to us. Classic ending to the song. Of course, not on the solo, on the studio album, but, you know, live, you got that kick-ass ending. For some reason, I mean, although we're talking about a Peter song here, what always comes to my mind here is the Animalized Live Uncensored when Eric Carr does it and they all come down that ramp from the light truss. But I mean, and well, you know, when they did it in 1 minute and 8 seconds, but just what a great Peter vocal. There's nothing bad about this song. Paul's intro, awesome. But it's just been like, I mean, I use the word so much, but just a staple. And I'll try to leave something for you, Mark.
Okay, well, you said a great Peter Criss vocal, and I don't really think I've ever heard a bad Peter Criss vocal. I love his voice.
This is true.
And this is, like you said, a staple. And they played this. Do you remember that one when, well, I mean, they talked about it where they got standing ovations when they were first starting out. And it's iconic.
Yeah.
And
What
it
a
stands the
great
test
song.
of time.
Sure.
Paul does a great vocal in the beginning. And it's just
classic.
classic.
Hearing those drumsticks, you know, click together and they hit it. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
it's one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time. You know,
Well, I mean, we just put it at number one on this batch,
yes.
but I mean,
it would be close to my number one, if not my number one, though, on an entire list. You know,
Exactly.
so
And
that's how fucking good it is.
yeah, I love the solo at the end, and they choreographed all of their moves and all that.
Sean Delaney did that.
Oh, he's the one who did that.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, just iconic, and it's, you know, I didn't like that they chopped wood at the end of it with a it's just story. I think I might have used this before, but
What the fuck are you talking about?
you don't remember? me and David, we shared a bedroom, and my father was obsessed with getting wood done, and he was kind of a martyr back in those days if you weren't out helping him. And we used a wedge, and it's like Peter Chris is sitting at the cowbell or whatever. It's like, Dad's out there at 11 at night
playing Black Diamond.
What the hell is he doing? He's going to be so pissed at us in the morning.
Oh, that was hell, coming around the corner from the end of the road, and you'd see the mall swing, and then you'd hear the cowbell like 3 seconds after. Because the speed of sound. Oh, man. All right. Well, awesome list, Mark. That was a lot of fun as usual.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
Well, you're welcome, my brother.
And thank you, Kiss fans. Hope there's more of you listening now. And like I said at the beginning, I will let everyone know about that. But I think that could be a lot of friggin' fun, man. Just, even if it's a phone call, with one of you calling in and, giving us your 20 list for something like this, for example, or a number 7 list we do down the line. But I just want to get people involved, and because I know how badly I want to get involved when I'm listening to a cast. So, why the hell not? So we'll give it a whirl soon. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode, at least of Preachers of the Night. We are going to try to launch one of these every 2 weeks, just like it's Mothercast, Pastimes at 80s High. So when we launch an episode of that, you'll see an episode of Preachers, and we look forward to seeing and hearing from you. So thank you so much. And Mark, we are out.
Hit it!
You've been listening to Pastimes at 80s High. Our passion is the nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. When times were more simple, times were more fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And we weren't stuck in our phones all day.
Inconceivable!
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can send an email to pastimes@80shigh@gmail.com and hit the website at pastimes@80shigh.com. See you next time.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.